Jimmy Kimmel read on air live Donald Trump's tweet that no one had seen before. And the audience laughed at it like it was a joke. They were laughing at Donald Trump, which is so important. Donald Trump is a punchline. He was a punchline before he ran for president. We all know this, especially if you live in the New York, New Jersey area. The guy was just a clown. He was a guy who got attention, a celebrity. That's it. Nothing of substance. He's moving back to being a punchline. But I get the sense Donald Trump tweeted 16 times yesterday. My view is that Donald Trump is trying to tweet us into submission. He's trying to tweet us into submission. He wants to overwhelm us with a range of things, from yesterday talking about Huma Abedin should go to jail, to I prevented all plane crashes, to Palestinians should lose their funding, to North Korea, my button's bigger than yours, and calling for his fake news award show. All of this, you can't keep up. And I think the goal is that we check out. And there was a time that I was part of the 60% of Americans who wanted Donald Trump to stop tweeting. And I actually wrote an article for CNN months ago and spoke to producers at CNN and maybe even MS going, please don't cover every Trump tweet like it's the Gettysburg Address. You don't have to analyze every tweet. Just let it go. But you know what? Those days are gone. I no longer feel that. I think now in 2018, in this midterm election year, I hope Donald Trump gives us 15 tweets a day, from my button's bigger than your button to put them all in jail, whatever he wants. And I know it's stressful because I'm stressed, but why do I think it's better? Donald Trump nonstop erratic tweeting is hurting Donald Trump. And I'll give you some recent examples to show you why. Donald Trump will tweet about things that will get the media to talk about issues that do not help Donald Trump. Here's the best example I can give you. Two of them, both from November. These are recent. In November, when we were all learning about the allegations for the first time against Senator Al Franken, that he allegedly had kissed that woman forcibly, and we had that picture with him mimicking touching a woman's breast, Trump first didn't say anything. And the story was all about Al Franken. But then Donald Trump, being Trump, could not stop himself and tweets, the Al Frankenstein picture is really bad, speaks 1,000 words. Where do his hands go in pictures 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 while she sleeps? What happens next? For the next 2 or 3 days, the media focused again on Donald Trump's own allegation of sexual misconduct against him. And this time, it was in the middle of the Me Too revolution. It was a whole different world. We heard over and over the Access Hollywood tape where he bragged about grabbing women by the genitals. So the point is, this stupid tweet by Trump hurt Donald Trump. He had a situation he could have sat back, let the Democrats essentially cannibalize each other, which they did with Al Franken, and drive Al Franken out. Instead, for 3 or 4 days of that news cycle, it was all about Trump. More women came forward who had made statements earlier last year about Donald Trump. They went on the Today Show with Megyn Kelly. They were on CNN. I remember I was on CNN talking about it. I wrote articles about it. Another example of where Donald Trump's tweeting does not help him. It hurts him. Again, November, right before the election in Virginia. He's trying to help Ed Gillespie, the Republican candidate for governor, running against Ralph Northam, our friend. What does Donald Trump tweet? Ed Gillespie will turn the really bad Virginia economy around, strong on crime. And here's the best part, or the worst part. He might even save our great statue's heritage. By invoking the Confederate statutes there, it rekindled and made the media again look back to August, Charlottesville, when Donald Trump said there were very fine people on both sides of the white supremacist, on the white side of the white supremacist and on the side of the good people. So again, Trump hurt himself, reminding Americans, again, of his very, very worst point, the most vile point of a vile presidency, is when he defended white supremacists. So you have two of these just in November, reminding you about his sexual misconduct, which I'm glad he had done that. And here's another reason why I think that tweeting helps us and hurts Trump. Right now, every time he tweets, the Washington Post, PolitiFact, will fact check his tweets. On a daily basis now, they are reminding Americans that Donald Trump is a serial liar. You cannot escape it. Yesterday, the Washington Post went through all 16 tweets and showed where, again, they were pants on fire lies by Donald Trump. This, right now, recent polls show about 65% of Americans think Donald Trump is dishonest. This drumbeat of fact-checking, and it shows up on Twitter feeds, on Facebook feeds, reminds people that Donald Trump is a liar. If he would not do this, if he was being more responsible, this would not be helpful for us. And here's the last thing, and here might be the biggest thing, and I'll be honest, here is my concern. After the GOP tax bill passed, right around Christmas, Donald Trump's approval ratings, because I read the daily Gallup poll and Rasmussen poll every day because I have mental problems, at the Real Clear average, it was moving up. It moved up about 4 or 5 points. And I'm like, oh my gosh. If Trump now, I'm not going to use the term pivot, okay, but was just calmer, slightly calmer, and didn't get in his own way, the discussions would be about the tax cut, who it's going to help. There's over 50 companies now who have, and I'm not kidding you, over 50 companies have announced they're going to give bonuses or raises. Start focusing on that. I think his approval ratings were going to continue to rise. But Donald Trump, as always, got in his own way through 16 tweets yesterday. Now we're talking about his button. We're talking about, is Donald Trump mentally fit to be president again? Here is Brian Stelter last night on Anderson Cooper's show. It's a short clip, but I think it's why this is so powerful. Is that Brian Stelter, he's critical of Trump, but he's not a liberal partisan hack. He's truly a senior media journalist over there. And he made a very good point that even Trumpers would have to be honest. If they're being honest, would make them pause and think for a second. So here's Brian Stelter from last night, clip number 5.
I think we could apply a test to his 16 tweets today. The test would be, if this were the leader of Germany or China or Brazil, what would we say? How would we cover these tweets? We would say these are the messages from a person who is not well, from a leader who is not fit for office.
So that is the discussion yesterday on CNN. Not about Donald Trump's tax cut, not about which companies are being helped. And in fact, the Republicans in Congress tried to make an issue of how many companies are being helped by the tax cut. Donald Trump steamrolled their own message of the Republicans. That's why we need Trump to tweet like 15 and 20 times a day. And I know he is trying to tweet us into submission. He's not going to, and he can't. Don't check out. If you check out, Donald Trump wins. If you want to take a day or two off, I get it. If you don't want to read the news for a day or two, we all need a break. I did some of that during the holiday breaks, tried not to read much, but just catch the headlines. I was recharged. I'm back. We're ready. We're all going to need a break between now and November 6th, but never check out. Because if you check out, there's only one winner, and his name is Donald J. Trump. We don't want that. What do we want? 2018 Judgment Day, at least 24 House seats. All we need now, one less Senate seat we need, because today Doug Jones was sworn in the U.S. Senate, replacing Luther Strange, who was a temporary Republican senator there. The first senator in 25 years who's a Democrat sworn in today. The Republicans' lead in the Senate is now 51-49. We just need 2 more seats. We have control of that. So the question I have, and we'll take a break and come back. You're my guest right to the top of the hour here. Do you think, does my thesis make sense to you? Does Donald Trump nonstop tweeting, instead of us being upset about it, instead like laughing it off and enjoying it and calling out things that are scary? Because, yes, there's no way Donald Trump is going to launch a nuclear strike overnight. There's no button on his desk, folks. It's a big briefcase, and there's a whole system of checks and balances there. He could lead us to war, a drumbeat to war like George Bush did, but that would take time. It's not like you go to bed one night, next morning you wake up and there's nuclear missiles being launched. That's not going to happen. So it is stressful, but I really think it's actually in our best interest. Let him tweet, enjoy the tweets, mock them, share them with friends, remind people that he's a liar, that he's mentally unfit, that he has no place being in the White House as president, let alone on a White House tour. He shouldn't even be on a White House tour, this guy. He shouldn't be allowed in Washington. He should be building a wall around him. That's what we should be doing.